All right, guys, welcome back to the next episode of Pest Control Millionaire. Kind of cool story today. I just kind of been following Griffin online for the last couple weeks, and I was like, hey, I connect with them and shot him a LinkedIn message. Went back and forth for a bit, and so we've never actually met in person. We've never met before this call. So it's just kind of cool to get to know other people in the industry, but he's doing cool things. Thought he'd be a great person to bring on the podcast. So Griffin Thomas, is the owner of Preferred Pest Management. And he also kind of has like a side thing that he said I can throw in there. I'm going to throw for him in there anyway, but Griffin Thomas Inc. We'll talk about that. Got us some really cool things to talk about today, but we'll talk about some AI, talk about the industry as a whole today. We'll go through some YouTube stuff because he's working on YouTube. We're working on YouTube, and talk about some traditional markets versus non-traditional markets. And that's kind of what we're going to chat about today. But Griffin, welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Oh, appreciate you having me on. You're actually the first one that's actually formally had me on any type of podcast.
Well, that's cool. It'll be your first podcast then?
Yeah, actually first. Well, technically was on a Google Business Profile one, but it wasn't a podcast. It was just a quick little thing. But yeah, first pest control one.
Let's go. I love it. But I just, I've seen what you're doing. I know you're helping out the industry. So you got a YouTube page going. But the first, real quick, same question I always ask. If you and I were sophomores, juniors in high schools, who was Griffin in high school? I just like to know people's background. And then we'll get into talking about the
Yeah.
next book.
Yeah. Man, in high school, totally different kid, so to speak. I know a lot of people still call me a kid since I'm like 28, but just no direction, I guess, whatsoever. I knew that I wanted to obviously not have a day-to-day job like most people. I wanted to quote unquote do something big, just didn't know what. Um, and of course, immaturity, all that stuff. But
Young kids, lots of testosterone.
yeah, exactly. Just all over the place, not really focused, but pretty quickly right after, like you mentioned, I've been doing YouTube for a long time, actually been on there for about 10 years now. And pretty much right around, and guess it wouldn't be sophomore year, but right after I graduated, essentially, I just knew like, hey, college isn't for me. Like I knew that even as a sophomore, speaking of which, even though I tried going to college for I think 6 weeks. And I was like, yeah, no, this is not it at all. Like I knew right away I can invest this money into actual business of some kind, and I'm going to learn way more and actually probably make money. At least I thought at the time. And if nothing else, get my own degree, self-taught, if nothing else. And yeah, that was kind of just, I would say that kind of set the foundation. Sophomore to senior year, figuring all that out.
Nice. So what, like, was pest control your first business? And how did you find pest control?
Yeah, so actually, funny enough, my grandfather has owned a pest control business in the Midwest for 30, 40 years now. It's been just him, like one man show. He tried hiring, I guess, a couple technicians. At one point, he had it to, I think, a couple techs actually, but it didn't work out because he just, from what I understood, it was before I was in diapers still, essentially. And he was like hiring friends and stuff like that, so just wasn't really qualifying them.
Typically how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think it did a whole I think it did a whole YouTube video just on that subject alone. Don't
yep.
hire your
Oh
family.
my gosh. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, for the most part, I always tell people like, even to this day, like my own cousin even gets on me about it. He's like, because he owned his own pest control business too briefly, and he's like, man, like you are very against family and business, and I'm like, yeah, no, just I know for some people it works, for example, Gorilla Desk team and stuff, but like it just I've seen it too many times, and I'm like, I like going with I'm a low risk person. I like taking what I see when I see something happening over and over. I don't try to recreate the wheel, so to speak. But yeah, I got into the industry more so because I moved down to Dallas, the Dallas, Texas area in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there with my now wife, who's girlfriend at the time, and just didn't really have much of a career lined up yet. Like I was trading some stocks and stuff like that. That's what my YouTube channel at one point was actually about, was trading stocks, futures, options, all that stuff. But it's just not consistent enough. It wasn't consistent enough to like say, hey, I can live off of, making $800 one day and then losing 100 the next and then making 2 grand, so on and so on. So went to a garage door company also for about a month. Like literally told my wife this job's making me suicidal. Like I'm not gonna live another month at this job. And she was like, well, don't wait, like quit. And I was like, well, I don't want to quit without having something lined up. Went on was it Indeed? If that's even still, I guess it's still a thing. Went on Indeed, found Mosquito Joe, actually found Terminex first, and I saw that they were labeling their positions as like 50,000 plus a year. And I was like, what? I was like, for spraying? Like, because I was a pest control technician. It wasn't a sales job, it was technician. And from there, I applied, didn't really hear nothing back. So then I applied to Mosquito Joe at the same time, got on there, learned really quickly that, as I expected, like, man, I can see why technicians even, make pretty decent money. Even though Mosquito Joe, you weren't making really good money there. Use that as kind of a stepping stone to Terminex, where I ended up going for about 3 years or so. Where I always tell people, even though a lot of people dog on like the Terminexes, I can't speak for Orkin, but those bigger companies, I'm like, go there just because the SOPs are lined up, the training, they force you to wear so many hats, especially like as a technician or a service manager, etc.
They're not hundreds of millions. Yeah, they're not hundreds of millions of billions of dollars in revenue because they suck.
Exactly. Like
Like
we
they're a
can.
marketing machine. I get it, but there's some really good operators out there for
Oh
sure.
yeah, and that's what I even tell people, like, even customers that come over to us from them, like, I'm like, yeah, I used to work there. It all depends on who you get more than anything. Just like anything in business, like you go to a restaurant, you get a really bad waitress one night, and then you go back the next time, and it's somebody who's like tap dancing for you, essentially. Like, yeah, it all comes down to the person more than anything. But yeah, no, Terminix was really where I would say, I really started learning, like, hey, because like they would show, obviously, because you were paid production, like what you were doing on every stop. And I was like, some of these clients, 150, 200, sometimes even 250 a quarter. I was like, just sitting there again, doing the math. Because that's one thing I always was in school. I was always good at math. And I was just doing it in my head. And I was like, man.
I'd love to see the statistics of how many people get into pest control that come through Orkin, Terminix, or another company, see the route that they're running, see the revenue at the end of the day, and say, "Dang, I could make all this money myself and go start a business." I'd love to see that stat. Maybe I could ask Chat GBT.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about AI later, but
Oh
like
yeah.
again, like I'd be interested to see because I feel like majority, not all, but the majority, that's how they come into the industry. Then they go run their route for the next, like your grandpa. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. And that's literally what my grandfather did for even up to this day. He's finally getting to the age where he's like, I'm gonna have to tap out sooner than later. But he, even to this day, he runs just monthly work, super low rates, because he's one of those that like refuses to raise rates for the most part. But he was like, this was how we did it at Orkin whenever I was there. And to a degree, that's kind of the same mindset that I did. Like I tell everybody, I try to bring over the good of what I learned at Terminex, and then what I saw that wasn't good, and just try to, improve on that to the best that we can, essentially. And some of that I realized why it's like, oh, some of these are actually harder to improve than you originally thought. But
We're at in the Midwest as your grandpa at? Like the Midwest is pretty
he's like
big. What state?
smack dab in the middle of Missouri, where the University of Missouri is in Columbia, just a little bit east of Kansas City, I guess.
Sweet,
And
good deal.
yeah, yeah.
Like I live in the Midwest, and I'm in Michigan, just way different Midwest.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I saw you all are in what, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Michigan,
Yeah,
Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota.
and Oklahoma too, right? I
We have
think.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma's a crazy story in itself. How it all happened, but it happened, and it's going really good. So can't
Yeah, that
complain.
market I heard up there, it can. Is it OKC that you all are in up there?
We're in Tulsa. One of my best friends. I have one of my best friends. He actually gonna be on the podcast this afternoon. He lives right in smack dab of OKC. Great market, lots of pressure. Like it's really like. And I was just got when you got on here, and I was in the Zoom call. The Zoom call was with two of my other buddies that are in OKC with the pest control company, big company too, and the pressure that is in that industry there is crazy. But so is Tulsa.
And that's how DFW is getting. DFW anymore, like, it's just everyone talks about how many companies are, and I'm like, it's not just how many companies are, it's how many, like, hate to say it, but good ones that there are. Like, it's, sometimes you just gotta give credit where credit's due. I mean, you look down the list, it's hard to see any 3 to even 4-star rated. Like, it's mostly 4.7 to 5.0. Like, us, we always try to, like, almost brag on, like, "Hey, we don't have a single review under 5 stars." It's like, well, now there's other competitors that are also the same way. So,
Yeah, I was actually just in Dallas last week.
which area over there?
I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I know it, but I just can't think off the top of my head. Uh, I don't know. It was right outside. It was like 20 minutes outside, and I should know the answer because I've been there a lot. But brain fart.
Close to the airport or something, maybe?
No, it's like a half hour. If it doesn't matter, I could sit here and think about it for the next 10 minutes. I remember, but it's just not worth the conversation. But um, I was right on the tip of my tongue too. Anyway, so I was down there, and my mentor owns a really big company there, and they service like oh, there we go, Plano. See, I knew it'd come to me. So they service the Plano area, and they're a massive company. And we were talking on we did a podcast together in our YouTube style podcast, and we were talking about the one thing that he taught me at a young age was it's not the best product that wins, it's the best known product that wins. And like it hit a light bulb for him again, even though he's the one who told me that, and it's never left my brain. And he's like that rang a bell so true to me just now because they have hundreds and hundreds of trucks in a market that serves like a 15 to 20 mile radius of where his office. And he had someone tell them last week that they'd never seen his trucks, never heard of him. He's like, so it still ranks true here. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's one thing, though, that we always almost kinda jokingly tell people is, like, you know, it's our fault. We almost are, like, apologetic, like, "Sorry you didn't hear of us sooner," because like, we hear, like, stories from occasionally some bad, companies or whatever, and we're like, "Well, we're sorry that we didn't get the word out about us a bit sooner, so you didn't have to experience that," or whatever the case may be. But that's 100% right. I actually did, I believe, either a video or live stream a while back, literally, I think the thumbnail even says, like, "Best known beats best," or something like that, because, I mean, like you said, that's 100% true. That's why even us now, there are certain marketing efforts that we've been implementing that, like, 4 years ago or so when I first started, I was like, "Ah, it seems like almost a scam," but it's like, who cares at the end of the day? It's getting you up list on some of these like Angie and Yelp, etcetera. Like, if nothing else, you're getting that constant brand recognition because they're not gonna know to call you because you're not so much, even though you wanna get the leads right there in the moment, like we know when it comes to sales, it's usually gonna take multiple touch points before they end up even making a decision, or they might not even make a decision at all. Say, they think they have an ant issue, and then for some reason it goes away a day or two later because it was just the rain. It might be 3 months down the road before they think about it again. And if you're not constantly in their face, then in some shape or form, then you're not going to be in the subconscious and they're not going to know to call you.
Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable system to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show. So start going back because I kind of went off in the weeds there a little bit, like usual. But so you start business in Dallas, and then how did you get started in pest control? I know you left Terminix, but then how did you go get started? And walk me through like the first year or so what that was like.
Yeah, yeah. So funny enough, it actually all started almost about a year before that because I was trying to get my seat. Like, I knew as soon as I got to Terminix, I was like, the plan is get to Terminix, learn everything I need to know, at least enough, and get my certified applicator license here in Texas, and then start the business. That was the whole plan from the jump. To a degree, I was almost not shy enough about telling people about it, and took the test. Actually failed all 3 of them my first time, didn't take it serious enough, and when I was actually going to take it the second time, I actually got fired 4 days before I was gonna take those tests, and I always remember it to this day. Like, I was sitting there almost chuckling. I mean, I kinda was chuckling. Essentially, my service manager was like, "You alright?" Like, he was wondering if I was, like, about to go into a manic episode or something, and I was like, "No, man, I just know this is happening for a reason." I was like, "Last time I didn't take my stuff serious enough." I was like, "This time, like, this is happening for a reason." And especially just what it was about and everything. I was like, because I've never been fired from a job before and whatnot. So I was like, this is clearly for a reason. So went in on Halloween of 2020, passed all the tests, almost 100% across the board. And then just me and my wife that entire Halloween weekend essentially just sat down, made our first website, just made the Google business page, like just boom, 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 just literally, I think we slept between the two of us 6 hours or so that whole weekend. And then first thing Monday, just off to the races, getting all the legal stuff done and getting marketing up and going, Google local services, all that. And yeah,
Did you have some money saved? Did you like?
no, no. Matter of fact, just like a month or two before all this went down, I had just bought a car because I had a truck and it just wasn't really feasible to keep the truck. Got horrible MPGs. Even though with Terminex you're able to take your trucks home, didn't really use it that much. We just had our first child recently, so I was like, need to get something dependable and family friendly, this and that. So sold it. Luckily, at that time, I had paid for that car cash, so I at least had some cash equity in that car. I think something like 8,000 roughly. Sold it as soon as humanly possible. Used a majority of that to go buy a truck because I had now no proof of income, just my wife's, and they wanted money down, this and that. So I put a lot into that, and then the rest of it was, of course, chemical backpack, whatever I needed essentially, and then a little bit left over to fire up like some very small Google ads and Google local service ads,
Yeah.
all
So
that
how were
stuff.
you getting your first few customers? It's already October, so now you're going into winter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because officially wasn't really starting, I guess, until I think the official date, if you look at like Secretary of State website, was like November 6th or something like that.
Yeah. So now you're going into winter, like I said.
Oh
Pest
yeah.
controls be tougher to
Y-
sell.
So luckily down here, I tell people like if you do what I consider everything in the industry in terms of pests, termite, rodent, wildlife, you're going to be busy almost all year round, assuming they can find you, of course. And Google Local Services was still very kind of new at the time. I think it came out in like late 18, 19, something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
awesome at first. It's still
Oh my
great, but
gosh.
man, at first,
Whew, now it's like, yeah, it can be rough out here now. But back then, I don't even think the big players had caught on to it yet, if I remember right. Like there might have been one local competitor down here who was on it, but at the time there was like maybe 10 to 15 of us totally listed on there, and literally from the jump, essentially, like by the time we submitted the insurance information, everything they require, they, got us approved, and then I would say within 24 hours, like, phone started ringing. We were getting I don't think message leads were quite a thing yet back then. It was just like a request a quote option, and then you would call them from there, but, like, all those started rolling in, and they were anywhere at that time between as low as, like, 20 to $30 a lead, and I was like, "Dude, like, you just need to get money." So, I remember to this day, the first job I sold was just the $85. I laugh because now I'm like, dude, it'd be like double or triple for the initial on it. But like $85 was it pest and rodent new start down in Dallas, and like 40 minutes from my house on top of that. So
so you
yeah,
probably
and
didn't
then
make a
from
whole lot of
there,
money there.
well, yeah, no, I mean the good thing was it was the first lead. It was like I think 18, $19 lead. So how I was looking at it was I was like, man, I've only got like maybe $5 in gas, because I was like, my time right now is worthless. Like any money I can get, that's what my time's worth right now.
Yeah, you have
So
more time than money, that's for sure.
exactly, and that's why I
Yeah.
always tell people, and we'll get into the whole pricing and this and that later, I'm sure. But like I always tell people, like when you're first starting, like don't be scared to go out there and offer whatever you need to offer to get the sell. Now I'm not saying like you should quote unquote work for free, like some people online will try to say, because I mean, you just can't run a business like that ultimately, especially if you're advertising. But do whatever you have to do, like I tell people, to get those first like 10 to 50 reviews across the platforms, Google, Yelp, Facebook, whatever the case may be, specifically Google, of course. Um, just that way, you can start getting some organic lead flow coming in. And then, from there, your cost per acquisition starts dropping. And that's where, even though, like you mentioned, like Google Local is still great right now in terms of, you're able to get the leads, but a lot of people are complaining, even me, just because I remember how it was. Even though we're paying $75 to $120 a lead now, as long as you're getting a bunch of organic on top of that, your cost per acquisition is still very, very low. Like, you can't just focus on, okay, what's our cost per acquisition on advertising? You need to focus across the board. And when you're first getting started, I mean, you got to do anything to get that organic as soon as possible. And I wish I had learned that so much earlier, because we relied so heavily on the Google Local. We were getting upwards of like 50 to 100 leads a month during like the busy season from it. And those are just ones that I was able to respond to. That's not including ones that were like just getting lost because I was the only one. I was in a house or whatever and just couldn't answer. And then when that kind of dried up a little bit, because people started catching on late 2021, it felt like was when a lot of the big competitors started catching on to it. That was when I got caught in no man's land, and I learned a lot about just, the Google business profile stuff from there. But yeah, that first year, I would say Grill Desk said something around 2/3 to 70% roughly of our total customer base came from Google local
Oh
service
wow.
ads. Yeah.
You brought up Yelp. How is Yelp down there for pest control? I mean, I've had companies that I'm friends with that have built their entire business on Yelp.
Really?
Yeah, like
That's
massive companies
crazy.
all
And
through
I
Yelp.
hear that too. Like, I hear in some little segments are like, dude, like Yelp or Facebook, what, like, I notice that it seems like different markets almost. It's different. Like, some love Thumbtack, even. Like, there's all these different ones. And I still tell everybody the verdict's still out on Yelp. We actually just recently did drop some of our stuff because some of it I could even tell just what some of the competitors were doing. I was like, we don't need to be paying for this, we don't need to be paying for that, like the profile upgrades and stuff like that. But we do still have like the Yelp advertising still going. Pretty small budget on it, but just enough to still keep us kind of around that like first page of Yelp more than anything. And I mean, it's hard to say in terms of my main issue is you can still tell that a lot of leads are absolutely not real. Like, when you see there's no profile picture, zero reviews ever left, like it's just 000 across, like you can tell it's like a brand new profile essentially. Like,
Yeah, like I don't even look at Yelp ever. Like when I'm going to out to eat or something, and everyone's like, We used to look at Yelp reviews. I don't even look because I just don't trust it.
I go to
I just,
Google now.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And what you'll laugh at about that, because I'm the same way. One of our legit leads we actually did get for a bed bug lead about a week or two ago. He was like, well, you all only have a couple of Yelp leads, and or not leads, couple Yelp reviews. And my assistant was like, well, yeah, I mean, we don't really focus on Yelp a whole lot, to be honest. Like, we'd love to get reviews on there, but we tend to push more for like Google, just being completely upfront with the customer. And the guy was like, well, I don't really trust Google reviews because like a lot of those are fake. And we were just like, it's actually kind of opposite from what we noticed, but it was just funny. Just a complete different mindset there. But no, yeah, I'm the same way, and it seems like most consumers are the same way. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I tell everyone from what I've noticed, because we just ramped Yelp up, I would say over the last month, specifically 3 to 4 weeks. And I would say, to be honest, only about 10% of the leads seem legit, 10 to 20. The good news is when they are legit, they do tend to be pretty high converting, though. I would almost say maybe even slightly higher than Google local service ads at this point. I noticed with Google local service ads, you can tell they're just going down the list. Who a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're going down the list. Who's going to give me the best price and who can get out here like today,
Right.
tomorrow at the
Yeah, I
latest.
think it's usually the first person who answers their phone is going to win, and then after that, it's like the how fast can you here solve my problem? Because in pest control they have an issue, right? So they need it solved ASAP. And so like usually it's those people who answer the phones first can get there in 24 or 48 hours or that same day, whatever, are gonna win those leads for sure. And that's what's nice about pest control, like versus like let's say with lawn care or cleaning, like it doesn't have to be done. There's no real urgency. Where in pest control, if someone has bed bugs or dealing with wildlife issues, they got to get taken care of. So that's the one advantage I like pest control for. So, okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit. So that's your first year, like you just getting started, you got $8,000, dumped all into the company, bought a truck, got some equipment, get some leads, and you're rolling forward. Kind of bring us up to date, how things have been going for you now.
Yeah, this year's been pretty busy. We hired our first full-time like technician. We had hired a guy about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, and it did not work out at all. And it was a blessing in disguise because we had a huge like $7,000 expense come up that would have just wrecked everything. Anyways, because we were hiring very tight at the time anyway. So again, blessing in disguise there. But this year specifically, like it's definitely been busy in terms of just a lot of learning on my end, because not only did I hire a technician, but within about a month and a half or so, or maybe even less, after hiring him, I also went ahead and hired an admin. Probably looking back on it,
Other
should have
way
did
around.
reverse. Yeah. Well, I think you even mentioned that on a video a while back. I
And I
saw.
have a whole YouTube video just on this.
Yep.
That's
And
what I did.
that's literally what I tell people too. Like I shared it with somebody who I know is getting close to that level. I was like, this is like, you asked me, was there anything different? Like this explains it literally to a T. Because yeah, no, I mean, like I think you even mentioned in there, like when it comes to like for me, I tell people my situation is unique because I know who I hired. He has had lots of experience, and we do things very, very similar. So in terms of training was very like the growing pains, so to speak, in that were very minimal, very minor, like, oh hey, by the way, we do this instead of this. Like very minimal. Like overall it's pretty much just put him in a truck, he's ready to go, essentially. He can sell like everything. Um He's probably assuming, we keep going down the road we're going down, probably going to be overall like my number two guy in the company, even more than likely, assuming he wants that role long term. But in terms of just there's so many things that people don't even talk about really. Like for example, when you go from the one man show to now you have even just an admin, but let alone a technician, you have a new guy going out to servicing.
Face of your company. Yep.
Exactly. Like it was a lot of because I didn't really let anybody know. I treated it almost like price increases. Like I don't, send out a big thing about it. It's just it is what it is. This is part of business essentially. And we didn't get nobody canceling or anything like that, but there was definitely a lot of like you can tell customers like, where is he critiquing any little tiny thing? Um, even down to something as simple as, oh man, there's like one little web from not Webstering this tiny little part, or even Webstering that you could tell was Webster, but there's like a little part hanging on, just like being very micro, paying attention to every single thing essentially. And now that it's been a few months, that's kind of started to fade. I mean, even commercial accounts, like just I could tell, like because me and him, we'd be on the phone, especially that first month or two,
Mm-hmm.
just in case we had
Lock
a
it to the
quick.
account. Yep.
Exactly, I would hear right then and there. Oh, where's the other guy? That's that. Even the commercial accounts are like that. So even though we were at least proactive enough that whenever we'd send out our pre notifications, we would like kind of introduce him in that, who he is, he's on, he has a lot of experience, so they weren't just completely blindsided, but a lot of them still, it was a little bit of a growing pain there in terms of
Yeah.
that. But
And what year I don't mean to cut you off there, but what year did you start with GD? Like when did you get on their platform?
oh, Gorilla Desk, man, almost immediately. So actually, I got referred to them. I have a buddy who's also Terminix technician, like we were talking about.
Imagine that.
Oh yeah, and he was still calling to the technician group, I guess, that I would call into every morning or whatever. We'd like chit chat, just shoot the whatever all day, um, and he was just telling me like he could tell like because I was constantly, like I said, I was not quiet necessarily about my plan essentially. And he like would kind of coach me up on like, this is what you want to use, this and that. And he had been using Gorilla Desk for a few years, and he was like, Yeah, no, there's a couple out there, Jobber and this and that, but he was like, Gorilla Desk, from what I could tell, is, the best. And I looked up their YouTube channel just to kind of get an idea. I always like to, I like free trials, but I know free trials, they can be limiting, which theirs actually wasn't for once compared to a lot of softwares. But I still like to learn a lot before I try to dive into something too. So I liked how, I think Blake at the time was his name, was the guy who did a lot of like the tutorial videos and stuff like that. I like how they would explain it all, and I liked how you could actually, the accessibility of like him at the time and now Chris, like they don't try to like hide behind their team or anything like that. Um, if you have something important enough, like they want to hear about it, and that was very important. Like the customer service side of that is very good, and not just that, but more than anything, dependability of the software. I'd use at Mosquito Joe a couple other ones, and they'd be down half the day, and if you didn't like print out your schedule, then you're just kind of stranded. um, and even the Terminex one that they had their own like multi-million-dollar app built, like that thing would crash a lot. Like I was like, I knew right away. I was like, it needs to be super dependable. And like theirs has been that and then some. Like to the point where when they do have a little glitch for maybe 15 minutes or an hour, everybody's on their Facebook page like
Oh,
freaking out.
that's what I was just gonna say. So, like, I'm in a lot of those industry pages, and software is a must-have, and people go there, complain, tear them apart, and I'd love to go inside their business and see what they're doing, see how perfect they are, because 'cause they're not. But they like to act tough on Facebook. With that being said, it's software and things just happen, and, like, they have processes in backup, and backup, and backup for these things that happen, and things still happen. So, it's like you have like, yes, it's not great. Not for us as a user, and it's definitely not great for them. But I agree with you 100% of the time, they're actively trying and being proactive to fix it before it even happens, you know? And so, like, something's happened, like, they're gonna do, like, a reset or whatever they're gonna call it, like, at midnight, and then something just goes wonky, and then come back out, turn it back on, and it just doesn't work. So, I don't wanna speak for them, but I just know every software is the same, and switching software is not the answer typically. And you go to the next software, it's gonna be the same exact thing.
Well, and not just that, but the transferring of all the data and the customer payment methods, and it becomes a nightmare.
It's
Account
like,
like
so you'd rather deal with the pain you're dealing with now because the pain of switching is more painful than dealing with the pain you're dealing with now, and it
I was
happens, like, 1
just
or 2 times a
having this
year.
conversation yesterday with my technician, because like I say, he's pretty much kind of like my second hand guy at this point. And I was like, dude, like QuickBooks, for example, price keeps going up, going up, going up. And but then I was looking around at like different solutions. I was like, well, dude, I was like, probably just gonna stick with QuickBooks. I was like, because at the end of the day, the other option is we use two different platforms, one for payroll, one for bookkeeping, which is already a nightmare. And then you're only saving like $30 a month. I was like, is it worth? And you have to learn a new platform, reset up our integrations that we have in automations and stuff like that with Zapier. Like, is it worth saving $300 to $400 a year? Or can we just go sell another contract today and be good to go? Like, yeah, exactly.
I
No,
love it.
spot on.
So, hired your first technician, got your CSR rolling. You said you wanted probably would switch it around, but, like, what does your day-to-day look like now? What do you try to focus on?
Oh man, like honestly, I thought the transition was gonna be like in terms of me. I've always had field work, so to speak. Like I said, even before pest control, I did the garage door thing very briefly. Before that, I did construction with my father when I
This is
first
a good
graduated
background to
high
have doing
school.
wildlife and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%, especially in exclusion work for sure. And my whole point with that is like always being on the go, out in the field, outside, in the sun, whatever the case may be. Um, I thought the transition to quote unquote homebody, because my office is pretty much my home. I mean, we have an office, but I live about 40 minutes away from it right now, so it's just not feasible like go there every single day or anything. But I thought the transition was going to be like, dude, I'm going to get cabin fever essentially. And I find that just I am so busy still that the time just goes by like lightning fast still. I mean, I'm working on of course like website stuff with, because we have a SEO company we use, for example, but we kind of have almost more so partnership than anything, which one saves us money, but two, it's almost like collaboration. Like, what are we working on? This and that. So doing that on the back end. Still training up my admin because she was actually like fresh out of high school essentially, so she had no experience of any kind with customer service. So like,
Customer service and pest control and your business and everything's changing there. Yeah.
oh yes, yeah, like the first month, she's going into her third month with us now. And like I would say over the last couple weeks, she's like finally gotten to the point where it's all, there's still some things, kinks here and there, but like she's getting to the point where it's clicking. And what I had been doing too to help her out, because I obviously can't be over her shoulder every single day because she's working remote too on top of that. Um, is setting up just a bunch of custom GPTs and Chat GPT. Like literally, I created a Gorilla Desk assistant that has every information about Gorilla Desk for her. And just like anytime she has a question about stuff, like I even have a little version of me essentially where it's like, if you have a question about this, so on and so on. So, and then I'm like, if you exhaust all these resources, all these GPTs, yeah, exactly. Reach out and we'll figure it out. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a combination. And then working on leadership because, I mean, like I said, there's still growing pains at the end of the day. There's situations that come up, be it with my tech or whatever the case
Same
may
thing with
be.
me still this today. Yeah. Like
Oh man, that's like 80%, I would say, if not more, of like just the, I guess, development side at this point of me is, you know, handling situations, trying to, and in ways of making me a better father too. I found out because going about thing almost goes hand in hand, but when something happens, not pointing the blame this way, pointing it this way more than anything. You're reflecting me. It's not the other way around. So it's like, where did something fall off here? Where, like I always tell my tech, I failed you here, whatever the case may be. Just reading a lot of books and just, yeah, lot of development overall at this point. But and then getting the phone to ring more, obviously, just that's the main thing right now.
yeah, that would be a piece of advice that I would give you too is just like it is the same thing on the YouTube. Just don't spend your time um not doing anything, which I know you're not, but like actively start and just be active and proactive about building out your next route. Get that second truck rolling. That's like your number one job. Because like I said, now you're working 40 hours in the field. Now you're working, let's just go with 10 in the field. Let's take those 30 hours to keep growing the other route. It'd just be a piece of advice. You talked about AI a little bit. You brought it up with ChatGPT. Like you talked about Google a little bit ago. I personally don't know about you, but I hardly even Google anything anymore, ever. Like I'm on ChatGPT all the time. So let's transition into AI since you kind of brought it up. What does that look like for you?
I mean, look right here, literally pulled up right there. I mean, like you mentioned in terms of Google, instead of having Google now, just I mean, you have it right there. You just search up whatever you need and boom, you have an answer. Of course, sometimes it's not perfect or whatever still, but I mean, every day it's getting better and better. In terms of business, like I said too, I already kind of hit on it a little bit in terms of just creating the custom GPTs in terms of assistance for my assistant. I've even started creating some for myself and her still, and as well as my technician, for example, like if there's something that any of us come across in the field or that a customer mentions or sends us a picture of whatever the case may be, you can send it right into this GPT and boom, it'll tell you because it's programmed in terms of the prompting and everything to know exactly what his job is. And oh, this is how you solve this, or this is what that pest is, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's cool because you can literally take a picture, upload it into ChatGPT, whether it's a bug or a weed or whatever you're dealing with, and it'll tell you right there on the spot what it is. It's crazy. Then you tell you how to take care of it. Then you create an SOP around it. Like if I'd have had that back when we started, it would save me hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point. So, like, there's such a huge advantage yeah, there's such a huge advantage to young entrepreneurs right now, honestly, we were talking about this last week in Dallas, I actually had to read the books because there wasn't YouTube back then. Like, we actually had to read, and then so it's just funny how, like, how times have changed. So you guys young kids have I say everyone has a huge advantage of AI tools right now, so but you brought up something the other day that I liked that on your post about the prompting. Like, it's smart, but you have to be just as smart to prompt it correctly.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I was sitting there thinking about that because I watched a YouTube video of somebody who is literally charging companies like $2,000 per GPT that they make for them. And I was, and they're doing the math. I was like, dude, that's like just with the GPTs I made in the last 2 weeks, like $40,000 worth of GPTs sitting there essentially using that logic. And whenever I was seeing them walk through how they prompt it, and of course, they always hide a little bit. Oh, join my school community if you want to learn this and that or whatever. But overall, it's all relatively the same, regardless. And I was like, all you have to do is know how to communicate. Like, if you don't know how to communicate at all, if you can communicate with a human, you're going to be able to communicate with ChatGPT or whatever, Gemini, whatever you're using, and get it to do what you want it to do. There may be some back and forth there, just like with a human when you're trying to get, a technician on the same page or your admin on the same page. Like there's some back and forth, but overall, if you can communicate and almost over communicate, then your results are going to be so much better. Where if you're somebody who just is one of these, I guess, I don't know if it's a Gen Z thing or what. People claim it's a Gen Z thing. I don't know, because I mean, I'm right on that border, Gen Z, millennial, whatever. But, I guess just this newer age, I guess, where you grew up on just text, and you just don't really, you haven't had enough communicating in person to know how to translate your thoughts into words, I guess. I just can't believe that like this is becoming a marketable skill that people are able to make money from because people just can't take what's in here and translate it into words and communicate it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll even ask the questions like, what questions should I be asking that I haven't asked yet? And I'll be like, oh, great question. And then I'm like, oh yeah, maybe think about it in a different way, you know?
Exactly. And a little way that you can even go deeper with it is what what is it that I ask it sometimes? Because it's pretty much the same thing. It's just because when you first start it, you're giving it context. What I'll ask is there any other context or any information that could benefit you and make your job easier? Again, just like your because a lot of people get so caught up, well, it's a robot. Why would I talk to it like it's a human? Don't like leave all of your thoughts about it out and just talk to it like you would a human.
I've probably been in this for a year. And so this is nothing new that nothing's ever heard before, but I literally have conversations like back and forth. Like I just turn on the audio and we just talk back and forth. And I'll be driving down the road for an hour, 2 hours, asking the questions like all day long. It's like my
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah.
It's literally like it can be a therapist, it can be a business consultant. Like I mean, even before this podcast, I was getting ready, and just sitting there chatting with it, telling it, "Hey, just give me some bullet points just to kind of keep." I was like, "I don't need a script or anything. This isn't a YouTube video, but like, just give me some bullet points just to kind of keep my mind fresh on just different things that we might talk about today." And in 5 minutes, it just crazy what
Yep,
it'll
I
do
do the
for
same
you.
thing. Yeah, that's really cool. So YouTube, let's jump to YouTube before we run out of time. I know you said you started early, so you're on the platform early, and then you change into a different lane with pest control. Uh, what was the reasoning behind doing content for YouTube, and how's that been going? Catch us up. I get started.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I mentioned briefly, I started pretty much right at the end of high school. I think it was like maybe 2015, 14, somewhere in there, 14 to 16. And was just like, dude, I'm going to document just everything that I do from a quote unquote business or entrepreneurial, whatever you want to call it, standpoint. At the time, it was first flipping stuff on like eBay and Amazon FBA when that was still relatively new, going to books, like just again, just documenting how I'm doing it. I mean, even to this day, there's a video that's like 8 years old about just how do you ship your box to Amazon, and it's getting like 20 views a day. Just I guess it's something people still look up to this day. Like just anything that I figure, if I had to look it up and it took me more than like 2 minutes to find an answer, which is rare, even with ChatGPT now, or if I had to have a conversation, I guess, with ChatGPT longer than 2 minutes, then I'm going to make a video about it because I know in today's day and age, people like it or not, and some people might get offended. People are lazy. We might live in the laziest generation of all time, which does, with all this technology and stuff, make it easier to win. You combine the technology with the fact that everyone's lazy, it's so much easier to win now more than ever. So I'm like, hey, if I can put this content in front of people and cut down on their hours, then I believe strongly in karma in terms of good and bad. So I'm like, if it took me 5 hours to find this answer and then I'm providing it in a 5 to 30 minute video or live stream, it's gonna come back around. And that's pretty much been my motto, I guess, since day one with it. It transformed from that to, like I said, stock trading and stuff like that. Once I had a little bit more money to be able to actually do a little bit of that at the time, and then took a brief break while I knew I was setting the foundation for pest control and getting that up and going. And then I posted just one random video one day, just as more an update video than anything, not even good quality. I literally have like my camera, which was like an iPhone 12 at the time, just set up horribly, wash machines like going crazy in the background, like just an update because I had like maybe 1,000 subscribers at the time. And I was like, I don't want to leave them stranded. It's been like a year. Let me at least give them an update on what I'm doing. And I think that video is titled like how I grew my pest control business to a 6-figure business in 1 year, something like that. Went from 0 to 100, something like that. And all of a sudden I checked like a month in and I noticed, I was like, whoa, I got like 40 subscribers out of the blue. And I was like, what happened? I looked and that video just started, it had like almost 1,000 views already. And I was like, okay, is there like a niche here that I didn't know about? Like, are people actually looking into this stuff? And there wasn't much content on it. So then I was like, okay, maybe this is what I need to document now. Just what am I doing with it? And doing live Q&As. And that's what we've been doing ever since for probably about 3 years now, I would
That's cool.
say.
When
So
do you do your live Q&As?
you said when?
Yeah, when do you typically do them?
It depends. I try because of audience feedback. I try to at least schedule them a day, even multiple days in advance when possible. But it really just depends on my schedule because, of course, like I have the business, but then I also have 2 kids, 5 and under, and family, like, this and that. That's one thing that me and my wife constantly are communicating about is just, um, making sure I don't believe in balance whatsoever, but that just I'm being intentional. I mean, I got my Google Calendar pulled up all the time. Just being super intentional with the time blocks and making sure. And then whenever there is a window there, then that's usually getting filled with something YouTube related. And sometimes, like we just had a live stream, I think maybe 2 or 3 nights ago, the first one in like a month or two.
Where do you live stream through? Is it through YouTube or where do you live stream through?
So that is through what the Streamlab, or no, not Streamlab, Stream. I don't know why I keep mixing those up. StreamYard, and that one I could stream it to like TikTok and everything else, but YouTube is pretty much where most of the viewers are. So right now it's mostly on YouTube, but in the future it might be across all of them, like TikTok, Instagram, all that. But yeah, it's mostly on YouTube directly, and we will go anywhere between 30 minutes to, I think that one was like an hour and a half the other
There's lots
night.
of questions, I'm sure, Q&A.
Oh yeah, especially after not being live for a month or two, a lot of people had their stuff.
Yeah, what I know the answer to this, but what is your YouTube channel?
It's just my name, Griffin Thomas. I guess on YouTube now you can even look up usernames apparently, which I think mine is like Griffin Thomas MFCEO, something like that.
Oh,
Which I
like
will
Andy
fully
Frisella.
admit, yep, that's
Yeah.
what I was just about to say. I will fully admit I stole that from him because I think it's just like, if you resonate with it, you resonate with it. If you don't, you don't, like that. And he's from my neck of the woods in Missouri too, so it's like, we all tend to stick together
Oh,
in
for
that
sure. That's
regard.
really cool.
But yeah.
So, yeah, again, I know the answer to this too, but what are most of your videos about on YouTube?
Yeah, anymore, it's mostly a combination. A lot more lately has been on, how to automate some of your workflows. But we dive into a lot of everything. I try to keep it organized with playlists for everybody on there. Like we talk about setting up Google Ads, managing Google Ads, the general day-to-day pest control stuff. Like we had a video recently about the best 5 pest control chemicals, in my opinion, for your pest control business right now in 2025. Just anything, not just pest control related, but I would say even home service business related, because it all kind of, in terms of the marketing and mindset, customer acquisition, customer retention, leadership building, all like it all, it's not just pest control in that regard. I would say anything home services, but we definitely do a lot of pest control related.
That's cool. What's the goal behind your YouTube channel?
I would just say continue to just build a community. Like we have like a Discord community with something like 300 or so people in there at this point. Facebook has, I think, up to about 200, which we started that very late, just about a year or so ago. It's up to about 200 people on there. Just develop a community. And I try to tell people too, I'm like, go get in there and talk. Like on Facebook, they don't talk a lot, it seems, which in other groups, they're like nonstop. So I'm like, get in there and chat it up. But Discord, they chat it up a little bit more, but create a community of not just business owners, but even aspiring business owners, like where, because I know a lot of technicians are always like worried, like, oh man, what if my boss is in here? And it's like, well, dude, if he is and he finds out and he fires you, then, it shows that, he was scared of you as competition more than anything. I take it as a, a blessing more than anything. Like, take it, or not even a blessing, but take it as you know, a nod. Like, yeah, you're actually somebody that I can worry about,
Yeah, see, and
essentially.
I tend to look at it different. Like where I'm at today, like if I have guys that are out there that are trying to learn, that are trying to better themselves, that's probably the guy that I want to grow with. Maybe not maybe he's a manager. Like I'm not just gonna. I should rephrase this. So, like the guys that are doing the extra work on their own, reading books on the side, like I don't have to tell them to. That are going to Facebook live streams, like trying to learn, watching videos, like those are the guys that I want to have be as managers and or long-term partners, like why would we butt heads when we do it together? Absolutely. There's true leadership right there. So those are the guys I'm gonna double down on. So if those guys think like that, I think it's just remind them like, hey, no, this is probably a good thing that you're doing this. Whether they go out on their own or they, like they're developing themselves as a leader.
Oh yeah, because I even hear, and I'm sure you see it too in those same groups, like owners that do worry about technicians jumping and starting their own business. Like you said, you have an opportunity there to either A, become like a mentor and be like, hey, like, you're not just another employee or anything. Like I see what you want to do. Like, let's have an open conversation, open dialogue about it. And to me, that starts from the moment you hire them, even. Like, what is your what do you like? Everyone asks a generic question in interviews, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, I don't ask that because it's like, dude, so much happened in 5 years. No one knows. I mean, come on. But I'm like, like, what are your goals? What are your dreams? Like, what if you could have like your dream life? Like, what is it? Like,
Yeah, there's a book called The Dream Manager that the bigger companies have this specific role in their company that goes through and gets all their dreams for all their like every employee, helps them build their dreams. And so like when you come to work for us, we have a roadmap from day one, how to become, like the next level technician, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star, and then they have like roadmap for management and then leadership and then also into partnership. So having those roadmaps clear defined from day one, like they can see the roadmap, it's
oh
way
yeah,
easier to get bought
because
in.
no one, nothing, at least from my experience and from what I've heard from other people's experience too, no one hates it worse than when you go to a job and you feel like it's a quote unquote dead end job, where like you're just here and unless if somebody retires or whatever, and it's just gonna be whoever's been here the longest is gonna fill in that role. Like that was one thing I've always said is like, I don't care if somebody's been in my company for 3 months or if they've been there for 3 decades. Like if they're if they've been there 3 decades, they're probably holding the standard because like I won't care essentially. Like I don't care if you've been here 3 years or 3 days. If, for example, you're late, you're late. Like I don't want to hear, oh, it's just one time. No, you were late.
Yeah, may the best man win. It's capitalism at its finest. I don't care if you've been here
Exactly,
30 days or
because our
3 days.
customers are thinking the same way. Like, if we show up late or we don't do this, like, they're like, "Hey," a lot of times it's, "You messed up once, I'm calling somebody else." Like, very rarely, unless if you build that good rapport, are they gonna give you a second chance, even if you offer the free extras and this and that. So, yeah, it's just a matter of, like you said, having that roadmap and setting clear expectations and not trying to be like, "Oh, let's dodge secret motives or whatever." Like, no, there is no secret motives. Like, just what is your motive? Like, that's all that I care about at the end of the day. What do you want? For example, my tech, who, like I said, is like pretty much my number two. He came with a lawn and ornamental, lawn care background, but lawn and ornamental license that we did not have. Certification, not just license, like actual certification that we can use. So obviously he knew like that's valuable. And we negotiated on it. Like, what do you want out of that? What should we do? Because we didn't have a lawn department of any kind. Like, what is your kind of goal here? What should we do? We negotiated out, different percentage and goals, this and that, and both parties are happy. Where if we were just like kind of almost playing this game of chicken, chances are he probably would have just left and started his own. I mean, I know that because he even told me. Like he was like, "Yeah, I'm glad we talked about this because like if you weren't gonna want to do it, then I was just gonna start my own
Cool. How
essentially."
old is he?
So he is what about 1 year older than me? He's
Oh, young man.
29.
Cool.
Yeah,
Hustler.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Yep, both of us are right around 30, and yeah, yeah, just getting it going.
Yeah. So back to the YouTube thing. How often are you posting? A month or week or whatever? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, yeah, I try to again, it kind of depends on schedule. I try to at least post like a bare minimum of one video a week on there. And usually it's transcribed to audio for like podcast format as well. And then on top of that, like we said, the live streams periodically, they can be anywhere from like once a week to once a month. It just depends. But then there are some periods too where the videos will come out like rapid fire, essentially, where if I got, a quick 5 to 15 minutes, I mean, if you look through some of my recent videos, you'll see where I'm literally in my gym's parking lot, just got my thing set up there and just running it off real quick. A lot of it is not scripted. It's just, and you can tell because there's a lot of cuts and edits in it. But it's just whenever I have time and I'm thinking on something where I'm like, man, if I knew this, like I said, if I notice anything where I'm like, if I knew this then, or, this took me this many years or minutes or whatever the case may be to learn, if I could just get this information quicker, then maybe somebody else can see that and avoid all that time and
For sure.
money being
Yeah. So
wasted.
what's the overall goal with YouTube? And I said to build a community, but like, what's your strategy?
Yeah, yeah. In terms of that, like I said, we before we started, we have the Griffin Thomas Inc. I mean, that there, it's a lot of people. I believe strongly in what Gary Vee has been preaching for, I think, 1 or 2 decades
I think he
now at
started
this
in
point.
2008,
Oh my
2009.
gosh, like
Yeah.
since YouTube first
Yeah.
launched, essentially,
And
it seems.
he was doing wine then.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And one thing that he always preaches on, I think specifically in his book, Jab Jab Right Hook, is just like, just give out so much information that eventually your audience will tell you, like, hey, like we want more, like we will pay you for more. And like we're to the point now where we've had plenty of comments even over the last couple years where people are like, you know, I need help with this, like I'll pay you. And like we technically have like a Google form that people can fill out in the description of most videos now and stuff for like if they were to want to set up any marketing help or whatever the case may be. But like I've told everybody too, the pest control business is definitely the main priority until I'm to the point where it's more hands off and like my number two ends up like kind of taking over the reign to a degree. But that's probably at least 1 or 2 decades down the road. So yeah, yeah, that in terms of that, like I mentioned, that's kind of just a little almost kind of side thing that it's like, I'm not necessarily looking. A lot of people get on YouTube and everything like, oh, it's my path to get rich. If people realize how little YouTube pays, you're not getting rich off YouTube. Like from it, like I mean, so a lot of people will get on there and then start selling their, like I mentioned, the whole school community or, this or that. Like that is literally there. I don't even have a website for it because I'm like, look, it's not another business that I'm starting. It's just that people want help. Obviously, everybody's time is worth money at the end of the day. So it's like, it's not going to be free, of course. Like the YouTube stuff is all there for free. The groups are free. But if you want like the one on one, then we can set something up. And then long term, I would like to even start hosting events. I've kind of toyed around with the idea of that. I've even mentioned on the channel maybe once or twice because I've firmly believe in like manifestation and like, not just that, but like if you put it out there to the public where in my case now thousands, hundreds and thousands of people are seeing it, like you have accountability where it's like, hey, you mentioned this, like what's the deal on this now? So yeah, yeah, long term would love to like maybe host some events, maybe even who knows, maybe someday write a book for specifically pest control. Because like I've said, there's not a whole lot of content out here, regardless if it's books, um, YouTube. There's starting to be more. I noticed there's starting to be more YouTube creators who, and I've been begging people to. I'm like, dude, just document. Like, just pull. All you gotta do is just pull out your phone. Like, it doesn't have to be $1,000 camera or anything. Like, I've been using my phone and this awful webcam that I hate using. Usually I hook this up, but I've been using the same stuff essentially for 10 years. Like, the cameras on the phones anymore, they're so good that as long as you know how to edit a little bit, which again, you can learn in a couple YouTube videos, then people will watch. It just can't be awful audio and just bad video overall. But yeah, that's the main thing. Is just get more content out there. Maybe have some events long term over the next few years, and just kind of see where it goes from there. I tell everybody, I'm like, tomorrow's never promised, so try to get everything done that you can today. But at the same time, I do realize too, like, hey, I'm not even 30 yet, so
You got time for
assuming
sure.
nothing crazy happens, and yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I've got at the rate technology's going, probably 100 years to go at this point. So, just taking it one day at a time, and
That's cool. Well, this has never been announced on the podcast before, but since you brought it up, there might be a book drop in here soon. By the time that this episode drops, I think it'll
there's
be
your
recorded.
accountability.
So that by the time this drops in a week or two, it should be recorded because I'm doing all audio, YouTube, uh, paperback, all the above. So it's already planned for next week for 3 days. I think it's gonna take like 17 hours. So I've actually never mentioned this in public before, so it's pretty cool you brought it up. So I'm excited about that. And YouTube, think kind of same thing, just giving away a bunch of free value. Like my mentor taught me early on, just you have the information, give it away for free. Like 1% of the people that will actually act on it, So like you're not gonna hurt, even if people comment on my stuff like, "Oh, it's too bad you live so close. You want to help me?" Like I never said that. I don't care if you're literally in the same town. I'll help you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's hilarious you mentioned that too, because I had somebody in, Carrollton, Texas, suburb of DFW. They're like, "Hey, I might need your help with Google Ads, but I understand if you don't wanna help me because, like, we're technically competitors." I'm like, "Dude, DFW's got, like, 10 million people.
like
Like, we
7 million. Yeah,
can't even service them all. Neither of
for
us
sure.
can." So it's like,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
run out your own Google ads?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right now, I've been running all of them. Specifically this year and last year, we've started to kinda crank it up a little bit more.
Just
Um
LSA or
So LSA, that we've been running pretty much nonstop for the most part since day one. Google Ads, like PPC and everything, I've ran it off and on over the years, but specifically the last year or two, really started kind of cranking it up a little bit more. I would like to get our cost per lead down considerably, but I know a lot of it too comes with, especially since I'm doing it myself, it's constant learning and, figuring out what's working, what's not.
yeah. So before we wrap this up, because it's already over an hour, which I told you I'll keep you an hour. We started late because of my fault. Two things I'm going to ask you. One, is your wife still involved in the business?
Oh yeah, actually, for the most part, no. Now she has a photography business of her own now that she's been running for about 6 months, roughly around beginning of the year. She started that. That's finally starting to kind of pick up a little bit, and to the point that's why I pretty much hired the admin, was because like it was to the point where she wasn't really able to answer calls and stuff anymore. So I was like, hey, we just need to, go ahead and delete all that stuff off your phone, focus on your stuff, and I'll just hire somebody out. It's all
Cool.
good, but
And
yeah.
then you mentioned the gym too. When did you start getting involved in fitness?
Oh man. I would say back around the same time I actually kind of started YouTube was back in 2017 roughly. Um and I took a break, like everybody, you have those periods where it's just like all in on the business. Matter of fact, if you go to one of those update videos from when I first started posting the pest control content, you'll see I was just almost fat. I'm not almost. I mean, I was essentially fat per my standard. And even right now, I'm not necessarily in the best shape of world, but um, finally, there was no gyms. I did not think of this when we moved out here a year or two ago. There was no gyms within 20 minutes of us where we live right now. Finally, one opened up 3 minutes away, so I was like, "There we go." I haven't been going back for 2 or 3 months straight now, but yeah, no, I love the gym. Anybody that is even considering getting into business, I feel like you have to make the gym like a daily ritual. Not a lot of people be like, "Oh, 3 days a week." No, every single day, because if nothing else, it's a stress valve. At least for me. Like when I have a day like yesterday where I'm sitting here just stressing out like crazy, feel like my eyes are being scratched out from behind. nothing can relieve that better than going to the gym and just exalting
Yeah,
all of
last
your
week I was
energy.
just in one of those moods. You're just, I don't know if I was upset, just one of those days, like a lot going on, frustrated or whatever, maybe. Got to the gym, did a mile of lunges just because I started doing lunges and I just didn't stop because I was just thinking about it, Then I paid for it the next 3 days, but I'm the same way. Like, it's just a good place to, have a good outlet for your stress. Cool. And then the last question, I know you mentioned a couple of books, but any other book recommendations you have for our
Ooh,
listeners?
I would say a book that I don't even know if it was available when I started my business, but one of them is by Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. That book there, I was kind of pessimistic about it at first, but no, it's got a lot of like just actionable
Dan
steps in
Martell's
there.
crushing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he's awesome. Let's see, his I think speaking of Andy Frisella, he came out with a book on mental
Yeah,
toughness
that's one of my
recently.
favorite books. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like that. I knew that was gonna be some thunder in that.
Yeah. And I
Oh
love how he
man.
didn't do audio, so you had to go by it and you have to read it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a guy who I listen to audio while I read because I'm kind of slow reader. And for some reason, I don't know about you, I tend to keep what am I trying to say?
Retain.
Yeah, I tend to retain a lot of the information better whenever I'm like listening, even though I listen to it on like 2.5x speed, like I just get so much more out of it. But yeah, no, same thing with that. Last one would probably, man, there's so many good books. I've been reading a lot lately this year, especially since hiring. But I would say probably if I were to say one last one, probably the E Myth.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, the E
Very good
Myth
one.
is a really, really, really
I
good
think I've read that probably like my 4th or 5th year in business, and it was really good.
I just got done with it back in I think February. So that one, I guess one last one would be Profit First
I
as
love that
well.
book.
Just
Mike
because
Michalowicz.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like if nothing else, I always tell people I'm like, I don't follow it to a T. It's almost impossible to be honest. But like we have spreadsheets now that my admin even goes in when she has downtime and categorizes everything. Speaking of which, if anyone wants to like utilize that sheet, one of my viewers actually taught me how to give access to a sheet apparently. It's on one of my YouTube videos about the Profit First book and whatnot. And it's a chart, it's a Google sheet that you can just put your numbers in and it'll tell you, if you want to do this percentage and dice it all up
Yeah.
essentially.
Smart. I love
But
it.
it's a game changer for
It
sure in
is.
terms of
I
just
agree.
bookkeeping for
For
sure.
sure. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for your time. It was good to get to know you. Can't wait to see what you're going to do the next few years. And we'll have to do another one of these next year and get an update.
Oh yeah. No, I'll have to have you on as well because I know be a lot of questions from my audience. I'm sure as well.
For sure. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it. See you later.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.